What's up, y'all? It's yours truly, Mr.Taliaferro. Obviously Damian Lillard's game-winning three-pointer to win the series will be the narrative that we talk about forever, right? That'll be what we go back to. But I think this Portland Trailblazers Oklahoma City Thunder series has really told me a lot about just things going on in the NBA, just like storylines, and just so much has come from this one series, in my opinion. All right, let's just go down the list. To me, I learned Damian Lillard is clearly a better point guard than Russell Westbrook. And there had always been some doubt. I mean, Russell Westbrook has done everything to Damian Lillard. He did the rockabye baby to Dame. All that great stuff. All that stuff was cool. But with pretty much comparable talent, the Thunder and the Portland Trailblazers, what Russ got and what Dame got, it's pretty comparable. Y'all both got a pretty all-star caliber guy. I could argue that Paul George is better than CJ McCollum. Right, with pretty comparable talent. Russell Westbrook lost to Damian Lillard in 5 games. I now know Damian Lillard is better than Russell Westbrook. It's not just shooting the 3 ball. There are so many other ways he's better than Russell Westbrook. I'm talking about just how Dame treats his teammates, how he's even killed. We get that now. There are other things that I learned in this series. Paul George. I'm not 100% sold on playoff mode Paul George. He's yet to show me anything outside of that one series, that 1 year with the Indiana Pacers that they lost to the LeBron James-led Miami Heat at the time. I'm not sold on playoff Paul George, and he deserves more blame. All right, now I know his shoulders might have been banged up, whatever. He ain't going to make excuses for himself, and I'm not going to make excuses for him either. He was alongside another all-star, Russell Westbrook, a guy that he wanted to play with. He chose him over LeBron and any other team, and it failed. There are so many other storylines that have developed to me that I could go on for days. CJ McCollum coming up big, the Portland Trailblazers rebounding, and pretty much, to me, proving a narrative that I always thought, from last year at least, in regards to how the Portland Trailblazers got swept by the New Orleans Pelicans as they were the higher seed last year. I thought it was a bad matchup. I thought Anthony Davis was a bad matchup for Portland, and I thought Rajon Rondo is one of the greatest playoff point guards we've ever seen. Again, these are just narratives that I have had confirmed to me. One other narrative that I thought was confirmed to me, that I kind of thought, but I was on the fence with it. I'll admit that. There was this growing narrative, even from people like me, after the Oklahoma City Thunder got eliminated in the first round last year to the Utah Jazz, that they would be better by subtracting Carmelo Anthony from the team. All right, addition by subtraction. I was one of those people who said Carmelo Anthony was in the way of Russell Westbrook and Paul George. It was already a lot for Russell Westbrook to try to get one guy involved in the offense. And I thought trying to get Carmelo involved as well, it became too taxing. Carmelo Anthony just couldn't be a knockdown shooter. That's not his game. I said the Thunder would by default get better without the services of Carmelo Anthony on that team. Well, Carmelo's no longer in Oklahoma City. He was not there all year. Their seeding wasn't great. Hence, they didn't have home court against Portland. They fell apart at the end of the season. Russell Westbrook probably had his most inefficient season in the last 5 or 6 years. They got to the playoffs, and in my opinion, overall, looked close to as bad as what they looked last year against the Utah Jazz. And they're eliminated again in the first round. And you can't blame Carmelo Anthony. This one's got to stick to Russell Westbrook and Paul George and Billy Donovan. I said all that to say Carmelo Anthony deserves another chance in the NBA. Is Carmelo Anthony a great scorer at this point in his career? No. Is Carmelo Anthony a great defender? No. I'd argue he's never been a great defender. And as he's gotten older, he for dang sure ain't gonna play defense 48 minutes. Is Carmelo Anthony a knockdown shooter? No. But let me tell you what Carmelo Anthony is. He's one of the 300 best basketball players alive. He's one of the 200 best basketball players alive. He deserves to be in the NBA. Now, I don't know what team. I'm not saying he should be on the Rockets because that didn't work out either. I'm not saying he should be on the Thunder because that didn't work out. You're not going to tell me that out of these 30 teams in the NBA, that Carmelo Anthony for the veterans minimum doesn't deserve to be on someone's roster. And a lot of it's on Melo. His head needs to be right. You know, he needs to know that he's a reserve. His role is to help other guys get better at this point in his career, to push younger guys, to be a mentor, to be a positive role model in the locker room. That's his role. And if they need him to come off the bench and be a scorer, do that for stretches. Not a starter in this league probably anymore. That's up to Melo to figure that out. But I just want to say this, right? I just want to say this. And I know a lot about NBA basketball. I know a lot about a lot of players around the league, right? There are so many players that don't have the right mentality. The only reason why Carmelo Anthony is put on Main Street because he was a star in this league. He was a guy that could get you 25 a game. He was a number one on the team. He's one of the more popular players in NBA history. One of the more popular players in NBA history. He was in the same class as LeBron, D. Wade, and all those boys. We talk about him more. There are guys on every team in the NBA that don't have the right mentality. Every team in the NBA. I look at the Denver Nuggets. They'll be eliminated if they get past San Antonio at some point next round, or maybe even a round after that if they got to the conference finals, but they won't win a championship in my estimations. They got a guy on their roster by the name of Isaiah Thomas. Now, Carmelo Anthony started his career in Denver. They signed Isaiah Thomas, who's a 5'9" point guard, and the Denver Nuggets were already heavy at guard. They didn't need Isaiah Thomas. Isaiah's fell out of their rotation. Isaiah Thomas still thinks he's an all-star in this league. He is not. Melo's pretty much a whole foot taller than Isaiah and a better scorer than Isaiah. More athletic than Isaiah. I give Melo that slight edge. And Melo can't get a job. Look, I'm not saying the guy needs to play 20, 25 minutes a game. I'm just saying you can't convince me that Carmelo Anthony, a guy that's at some point going into the Hall of Fame, I'm not sure if he's first ballot, but he'll get into the Hall of Fame. You can't tell me that dude does not deserve a job somewhere in this league. Somewhere. Some team could use a ticket seller who could get 1,000 or 2,000 more people to come out night in, night out. Some team could use a mentor. Some team could use a guy that comes from nothing, that some of the dudes that come from nothing as well can respect. Somebody needs that in their locker room. Now, it's up to one GM in this league to say, do we want to sign Carmelo Anthony this summer and let him provide one of those traits that I just mentioned to you for our basketball team? As long as Melo's head's right, he deserves another chance and another opportunity to end his career correctly. I'm out. I came from nothing, but I want everything God has for me. I interview celebrities. I talk sports. I still represent the culture.
I got the kids. You are now tuned in.
Yo, we locked in right now,
Mr.Taliaferro.
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 Mr. Shout out to Mr. Taliaferro.
You're watching Mr.Taliaferro TV.
Mr. Taliaferro TV. Here with the triple B's, you can't do nothing but win.